Hey everybody, Hugh here. Welcome back. Well, we're in the tunnel at the moment with all the daffodils in flower, as you can see, and some tulips too, much as discussed when we put up the last video. However, they're not meant to be in here, they're meant to be outdoors in the courtyard area. But we brought them in for Storm Kathleen, which raged over a couple of days, the high winds and that, so we brought these in to protect them. And then we had yesterday, which was quite a lot of wind again, so the bulbs stayed indoors again. And today it's actually full of rain, so we're filming indoors instead of in the courtyard. But not to worry, there's plenty going on. So what we'll do is we'll get into a little bit of the detail of what the whys and the wherefores of the various plants and flowers that are coming on. There's some gorgeous varieties of items in here and gorgeous colours coming on as well, and it really is a little oasis in the midst of all the wind and rain. We have had some sunshine, but on the most part it's either been wind or rain. And I know some of the commentary now is around the farmers and those that grow food being able to get into the field, so my heart goes out to them and all that they're trying to do but can't. Anyway, back to the tunnel here. Let's do an in-depth look of what we have going and growing on. I know that some of you will look at this much of it and then we'll move maybe towards the end. So if you've watched this far, please remember to give me a thumbs up and the liking and subscribing and all of that type of thing. And for those of you that are staying on, well, join me for the tunnel tour. The early April tunnel tour rather than the early April courtyard tour, which is going to be showing just all the colour that's there. We talked about on the last video that the tulips were coming on, and that was to do with the white ones that you see down there among all the white daffs coming on. And there they are there. They're very lovely and such a treat to see them coming in. But in actual fact, since then there's been more coming on. There's one of the, is that the Paris type, is that what they're called? Isn't that just lovely? See the frills on the edge? And they're coming on very, very nice indeed. And these are ones that we got as plants growing because any of the bulbs that we had been planting were being eaten. So very nice to be able to get some of these, or a lot of them that we had grown as bulbs were being eaten. But that's the parrot type, it's tulip intensa. And some nice promise of colour there. Various white or whitish varieties of the narcissi. Like that variety, for instance, is called Minnow. This one is Sunshine. I think it's called the Yellow Sunshine. And that's one of the paper whites. And my oh my, does it have some sense to it. It's fantastic. The tunnel is very, very scented here. We don't have a label, Ms. Judith. We don't have a label for this particular variety, so we have to get that named before they die back. And it really is, it's one of her things. She just likes to collect the white types of narcissus or dwarf daffodils. I'm very much the old school. Narcissus can be any colour once they're yellow. And we had the show of yellow. If you scroll back a couple of videos, you'll see them in some of the February, March videos. These particular beauties are some of the recycled metal flowers I made a couple of years back. They've actually held very well. So I'll move them into the display here just to show them off a bit, and they're particularly complementary for the peach and the whites there. So it's like, oh, that particular white was meant to have been, not meant to have been, it is a Magnolia, one of the stellata varieties. My version of their flowers. Take a look at that. The red is not just smashing. That is the red Acer that we had all last year, and it's just broken into leaf over the last week, and it really is superb to see. You can see it's stunning. And underneath it then we have a red heuchera and some purple tulips. So quite a nice sort of combination that's there. Of course, these will all be moved into the courtyard when the weather allows, and any of these Acers The leaves are very, very tender at this time of year, so they do need to be hardened off. And anything like the hails that we were having the last day, if you looked at some of the shorts, you would have seen the hailstones. They would just absolutely flitter the leaves. So they're going to be snug nicely in here, and we'll harden them off during April. That's putting them outside during the day and taking them in at night, doing that for 5, maybe 7 nights, and they'll harden off. A nice red tulip there. That variety is called Sea Dove. And you can see another maple there, a lovely golden leaf maple. The name of the variety is down there. I'll have to actually bend down and look it up, so I'm not going to do that just at the moment. Fatsia japonica, large in leaf. Take them in under cover here during the winter, because in some seaside areas they are hardy, but here now I would fear the worst. These bigger plants are in quite small pots, as you can see. That's the Fatsia pot, and that's the Acer pots. So they will need to be potted on, or the soil enriched. Potted on is a preference because they are in pots that are, you know, a good size, but we can go into bucket size pots next, and some nice enriched soil will do them the world of good. Down in the undergrowth, those cannas I was talking about have finally started to sprout. This one is peppered with a lot of holes. I think that's very small slugs, maybe snails too, that have hatched that are putting all those leaves in there. So a bit of a nighttime patrol. As I was walking around here a little bit earlier, I was pulling out slugs and snails from under pots. So if you have a collection of pots like that and you see holes, check underneath the pots themselves. And other herbaceous plants and grasses coming on very nicely. Pulmonium heavenly blue, ready to flower as well. So that's nearly a natural successor to some of the daffodils and tulip bulbs that are around. Mr. L, he shines bright at night with those eyes. It's one of those garden decorations. Oh my goodness, the amount of light it actually gives out is incredible. And another golden Acer as well. These tulips, particularly nice. It's like a double form of them. You see the camera catches. Aren't they gorgeous? And they're the foxtrot for any of you that can do the dance. Looking very nice indeed. On this side, this is what would be known in my day as the Dicentra spectabilis. I think the name has changed from Dicentra, has it? And comment below if you know. But anyway, it's come back up this year after me saying I could never get it to regrow, and don't bother with them. I said to Judith, she was like, "No, I really like them, and let's have a go and see." So it's come back up. Happy days, which leads me to suspect actually that I probably wasn't patient enough with some of the ones that I had in the past, and that when I threw them out they were just actually not growing. Or it could have been that the slugs and snails were eating the shoots below ground level. But anyway, so we'll take the success anywhere we can get it. Gardening, as you know, can be quite a trial, or if you don't know, can be quite a trial. The path to success is paved with a lot of failure of plants. So anywhere they're doing well, just enjoy them. Learn if you can from the ones that don't do so well. This is a prime example. It is alive again, thank goodness. We went over them. That's one of the hookerers again. But vine weevil eating the roots, demolishing the roots in fact. And you can see we went through them there, what was it, about a month ago. Squeezed out the vine weevil that we could. I suppose the one advantage is that they do at times allow for easy division. That's another piece of the hookerer there. And stick it into that pot, but if that produces some roots. I know I follow lots of veg growers and food growers, and we do like to grow a bit of food here as well. Haven't done very much about it given the weather. There is some beetroot and some white onions that are coming along very nicely. And I'd hoped that we'd get our potatoes in to pots this weekend, but it wasn't to be. A nice lupin, a piece that was broken off when we were doing some more of our repotting, and so it's actually rooted through. As you can see, roots coming at the base very nicely indeed. Here's a curious little one that just isn't doing well. The Nandina obsessed. It's a dwarf little one. It is growing now, but I strongly suspect there's vine weevil down there. I don't know, did we check that, Judith, for vine weevil? I'm not quite sure. And I referred to the Gazinia overall winter because I didn't think it was going to survive, but there you go. It's coming along very nicely indeed. And one of our many hostas is indoors and it's just breaking leaf now. The other ones are outdoors, so they'll be a little bit behind. And there's a recent acquisition, one of the Dianthus. Isn't that lovely? And of course the scent of the Dianthus is smashing. It really is smashing. And again, a natural follow on from some of the tulips. Oh, here we go. Slug and a slug. That's what I was saying about checking under the pots, particularly where there's a nice bit of leaf, fresh leaf coming out. Now they're probably hiding in that Dianthus and they're saying to themselves, we'll have a go at the hosta tonight. But they won't have a go at the hosta because they will be launched into far away distant shores, i.e. the hedge that's outside there. And consider themselves lucky. A couple of years ago now I would have been here with the scissors and then now snip snip. But and that's one of the herbaceous geraniums. We often talk about the, actually you can't get it in flower yet, the herbaceous geraniums. And it's alba, isn't it? And I love the scent of the foliage of that is gorgeous. Speaking of bedding geraniums, here's one that has actually survived the winter. It's one of the purple ones, but there's been a few that just didn't. Those frosts in January. And the grasses that you had picked up a wee while ago in smaller pots. Actually, I wonder if they're growing through. We potted them on. No sign of roots just yet, but they are nice. Then again, they'll add to the courtyard. We do like our grasses. Now, some of the palms are coming along very nicely indeed. I have 7 of them there, and you can see they're in the florist pots. So the next size pot for them to come onto is the bucket size pots. There is a stage where you can only pot things on so much, and then it has to stop to knock off some soil. Shamerups humilis is the variety of them. Another Acer. There was one when I came across it. Acer Nagunda Flamingo. I said, have to have it. Got hit with mildew last year and struggled. So again, we'll see. We'll see how it does. But when it does grow, it has those lovely pinkish leaves that are there. And there's Judith's clematis. Lovely big buds on it. Looking very nice. I'd say it's going to burst reasonably soon, depending on the weather. And that's the copper bowl that Dad made and gave us. So it's looking well with the bellis in it. One of the bellis did die to the back, so we still put a replacement in there. I'm just looking at some of these are a little bit, that's the way they should be looking, growing and producing, but that one there is collapsing in the center. I wonder, is that to do with the weather again? Bellis are typically hardy old plants, so we have to do a bit of investigating. And the final Acer there, the green variety, as Judith would say, that's my variety. Like there's a story behind that, which we'll save for another day. And finally, or almost finally, there is my clematis. So that was the one that I paid €7 for, and it was in a very poor state indeed. So potted on and gave it a little bit of TLC last year, and it's rewarding with plenty of flower buds. So it'll be interesting to see them both clematis a year on. So I'm just negotiating my way around the plants here because the walking area is quite crowded. Here's one of those roses that we got in the supermarkets that were, was it €5? It's coming along very well. I don't want to say it was an experiment to see how it would do, but well, it was one of the spur of the moment. It's like, oh, we get that. And a Brunnera that produces blue flowers next month, typically. Very similar to that of the forget-me-nots, which are in flower now. And a nice euphorbia in flower there, and another Nandina that's not doing so well behind it, but anyway. So there you go. Plenty coming on, plenty in flower that's waiting for this rain to pass, and then plenty more coming on, and that's even before we hit or go for a run at the summer flowering plants. So it really is, it's a great time of year after the long winter to see all the fresh greenery and plants popping and jumping. This will look different again next month, this area, because we'll be in May at that stage, and we have some tomatoes coming on. We have more seed to sow, and it'll be very different again, much like last year. I suppose we converted to more or less a tomato and courgette tunnel, because that's what we eat a lot of. But for now, we'll enjoy this effect, and plants coming along to follow on from the bulbs. Thanks as always for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Do give the thumbs up, as always. Helps the old algorithms and all of that type of thing. And hope you're keeping well and safe. And we'll see you on the next one. All the best for now. Take care.